Hello, welcome to Chamber Yoga. Today it would be useful to have 2 blocks. We're going to just get grounded first by coming to lay on our backs. Getting comfortable however it is that you need to for your body. You can use a pillow under your knees or under your head. If you're able to and your back's fine, you can extend the legs out. Make any adjustments that you need to be able to get comfortable. And then we're just going to bring our awareness to our breath, slowing it down, breathing in and out through the nose. We're going to start by doing a little bit of abdominal exercises by bringing your knees in one at a time, keeping the knees above the hips, pushing the lower back into the ground. You can keep your hands on the ground, on your legs, on your tummy, wherever it is that you want to keep them. Your feet are a bit hip width apart here. If this is hard enough, feel free to stay here, keeping your legs just at tabletop. Otherwise, you can extend the right leg, pull it in, extend the left leg, pull it in, and we're just going to switch a couple times here. Remembering to push the lower back into the ground. It doesn't matter how low your leg goes, as long as your core is engaged here properly. Last set, pull that leg back in. Now we're going to extend the legs up to the sky. So toes up to the ceiling. If you're too tight in the hamstrings, it's okay to bend the knees, but the goal is to straighten the legs eventually with the toes up to the ceiling. Again, if this is challenging enough, stay here. Otherwise, we can bring our hands behind our head. We'll start by lowering the right leg. Bring it back in and switch, almost like scissors. Keeping the lower leg off of the ground, but just above it so that the core stays engaged the whole time. And if you want a little bit more, lift the head off of the ground, the shoulder blades off of the ground, and twist. As your legs switch, we'll bring the opposite elbow to the opposite knee. Just a couple cycles here. And twist to the right. We're going to hold this one here. Bend that knee so it's in that tabletop and that left leg is still extended. Reach the left arm on the outside of the right thigh. Just hold here and just gaze up at your right elbow. You should be on fire here. And then we're going to switch, doing the exact same thing on the opposite side. Keeping that bottom leg off the ground, really reaching that hand on the opposite side of the leg. And come out of that. So with the feet on the ground now about hip width apart, we're going to come into bridge. So lifting the hips up. If your knees are having issues here, you can always scoot your feet a little further away from you or a little closer in. Just test it out with your body and see what works good. If you want a bit more, we're going to lower the hips down and lift them up. Going with the flow of your breath, lowering down and lifting up, allowing the hips to not touch the ground on the lower down. If you want a little bit more, we'll lift that right leg up, holding the knee in while you pulse out. And then we'll switch legs, bringing the left knee in and doing those glute bridges with the right leg. You can maintain this, or for a little bit more of a challenge, you can switch legs with every lowering. Just a few more reps. And just see if you're able to straighten that right leg now as you lower it down all the way when you drop down and lift it up when you press up. And now we'll switch legs, straightening that left leg up to the sky. When you lower, it goes down. Just see if you can do it. And now just coming into regular bridge pose here. Slowly lowering all the way down. We're going to bring our heels in a little closer towards our bum and put your hands rather, right on the crevice of the leg and push your legs away from you. This just gives a nice little stretch in your lower back. We're going to come into a twist here. So normal twists will have you turning your legs down, but we're not going to do that. We're actually going to grab onto our knees and roll over onto our side, onto the left side. And then you're going to open that right arm up to the right side. So this just allows more space. I find it's a lot less jarring on the lower back, especially if you have any injuries, which I do. And it just is a nice way to get into it. And to come out of it, we're going to do the same thing. Roll onto the one side, untwist the knees, and then come back into center. We'll hook the legs on the other side, rolling onto the right side, and then open the left shoulder over to the left side. Allowing your body to just relax into this twist as much as possible. And to come out, we're going to roll our body all the way to the left side, untwist our knees, then come back onto center. We're going to go into happy baby. So we want our knees to be coming in towards our armpits, keeping our lower back on the ground so that we don't round up in the sacrum. And you want the heels to be facing up to the ceiling. Now you can have a hold of the outside of the feet or the inside of the feet, whatever feels better for you. If you want a big hamstring stretch, then you can straighten one leg out at a time. It is quite a big stretch, so just go slow and gentle. And we're going to come up to a seated position, rocking ourselves all the way up. You want to grab your blocks now, making your way onto your knees. We're going to step forward with the right leg, trying to keep our legs both at the 90-degree angles here. For the first stretch, it's not going to look like much, but it is. You're going to tuck your tailbone, squeeze the glutes, and just gently push the hips forward, lifting the chest and breathing here. You'll feel quite a big stretch on the front hip flexor on the left side. We're going to come out of that, and we're going to grab the blocks, stretch that right leg forward so it's straight. You can have the blocks closer to you if you're not so flexible. From here, we're going to move with our breath. We're going to inhale, hinge forward, stretching the hip flexor. Exhale, we're going to bring our hips back, stretching the hamstring. When you do go forward and stretch the hamstring, you don't have to drop down like I do. If you're quite tight, then you can just stay upright. Last hamstring stretch, and then we're going to switch sides, bringing that right leg back, stepping that left foot forward. So you're going to tuck the tailbone, squeeze the glutes, and send the hip forward slightly as you lift your chest. Again, you'll be feeling that in the right hip flexor here, which is just in the front of the leg. Big deep breaths here. And then we're going to stretch that hamstring, slide that left foot forward a little bit. Bring the blocks wherever you need them, because we are going to slowly go into the breath per movement here. So bringing the hips back as you exhale. Inhale, shifting the hips forward. Keep going at your own cycle. Last one. And bring both knees back. Stepping forward with your right foot, we're going to come into a somewhat of a lizard pose here. If you're feeling tight, just bring the blocks to the inside of the feet. You're going to point the right toes to the outside of the mat. Placing your right hand on that right knee, we're just going to get a little bit of movement and openness here before we start to thread the needle. So that right arm is just going to go right behind that left wrist and then reach up to the sky. Threading it, doing a little twist, and then open up to the sky. So this is just going to bring a little bit of movement while you're in this really tight position. You should feel a lot. And then put your hands down. We're going to switch sides. You can get there how you need to get there, but the left foot needs to come up to where the left hand is. You can bring the blocks to the inside of the feet again if you need them. If not, that's fine. Left hand goes onto the left knee just to bring a little bit of openness there before we move. And then from here, reach that left arm up to the sky and then thread it underneath, just like the other side. Okay, last one before we move on to our next exercise. So we're just going to actually step that right foot forward into Malasana, unless your face is way too close.
Way too close.
In which case, we're just going to scoot back and we are going to retry that.
Let's try that again. Suppose you're back there. Step your foot up.
So second attempt was a success. Now we are in low Malasana. Our feet are about mat width apart. Your knees are open nice and wide. If you're having difficulties with this, you can always actually grab your blocks and prop them right under your bum to help keep you upright without you falling backwards. Or you can also just squat a little bit higher. It doesn't have to be so low and open like I am. Here you would still want to work on opening those knees, pushing the elbows into the knees to open things up. Now you can stay here or you can do a twist with me. Right hand goes underneath the left knee over by the right foot, left hand up to the sky. If you want to do a bind, if you're able to, then you're just going to clasp behind your body like I did. We'll let go of that and we'll come to the other side, coming to center and neutral first. If you did the bind on the other side, I do recommend that you do a bind again on this side. Even if you didn't reach the hands, it's still good to put the same amount of energy on both sides. Now we will release that slowly and then come back into the center Malasana. Very slowly come to a seat on your bum. Okay, so we're going to scoot back for the next exercise, and actually you can grab your blocks just in case you might need them. The next exercise is just trying to train your body how to sit down slowly and how to get back up slowly and efficiently. So we want to have our feet about hip width apart. We're going to push our hands into the blocks just to lift our bum off the ground so we can come into like a low squat with our knees together. We're going to very slowly drop our knees forward to touch onto the ground. Send our hips up and forward, step up with the right foot, and then back. We're going to sit back onto our heels and then come all the way back into that very low squat with our knees together. We're going to repeat this. So if you drop your knees down super, super hard and fast, then keep those blocks with you so that you can work on doing it a little bit slower. Try not to allow your bum to fall down when you do go back, but if you do, it just happens. Eventually, you will get stronger at this and have more flexibility in your feet, your ankles, your knees, everything, and it will get easier. So that's it for now. We're just going to come onto our bums, take a couple breaths to slow our heart rate down. We can move the blocks off of our mat, getting ready for our Shavasana. If you need a blanket or a pillow, you can grab that now. And just sitting here, we're just going to refocus on our breath, relaxing in through our shoulders and our neck, rolling the shoulders forward and backwards a few times. Placing the right hand beside your right hip on the ground, we're going to lift the left hand up and over, just getting a nice stretch on the left side body. And then we're going to reverse that. Right hand up and over, getting a stretch on that right side body. Coming out of that, we are going to make our way into our Shavasana. Getting comfortable, having your knees up with your heels out so that the knees can relax against each other if your lower back is bothering you, or use a pillow, or extend the feet. Gently rolling the shoulders underneath your back, opening up some space. Make any adjustments you need to be comfortable for the next minute as we lay here. Relax the jaw. Allow the tongue to fall from the roof of the mouth. Allow the forehead to relax. Allow your shoulders, your arms, and your hands to relax and soften. Now focusing on the breath without changing it, just noticing. Notice any areas of tension, any areas of pain, maybe. See if you can breathe into those areas and relax them as much as possible. Breathing in and out through the nose. If you need a longer Shavasana, you can stay here. Otherwise, we're going to slowly move our bodies, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Reach up overhead for a stretch if you'd like, before we roll onto the right side of our body. Allowing yourself a second before you push yourself up to a seated position. You have now reached the end of the class. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope this brought you a little bit of ease in your body. Namaste.